Hello, this is Joe Neville, and in this series of videos I'm going to be setting up an Aruba lab. What I'm going to do first of all is I have a Windows Server 2016 set up, and I'm going to turn on Hyper-V. So everything I'm going to build with my lab, I'm going to use that server as the baseline virtualization platform, and then I am going to build on that ClearPass, Windows Server, Active Directory, domain controller, a CA, and set up EAP-TLS using Aruba Instant 8.4. Let's just jump into the first task, which is to log into my Windows Server 2016. So we go Manage, Add Roles. Right, Hyper-V. Add features. So I'm hitting next. Okay, good. Next. So we'll go for the install. Now to have a look at Hyper-V, we go to Tools, Hyper-V Manager. So let's open that up. So what I want to show you is the switch manager. Here you can create your virtual switches. So this is your networking out to the rest of the world. So what I do is I create a virtual switch there, and I'll call it Ethernet. So I've only got one NIC on this server. I'll call this Ethernet. Okay, and that's the NIC that's on there. Allow management operating systems to share this. Yes. Here's something that's quite interesting. If you wanted to send VLAN tag traffic by default off of this server, you can enable it here. So by default, of course, the server will send untagged traffic, but if you wanted to connect your server, like your physical server, to a trunk port on a switch, this is where you would enable it. So you enable there and you can enter the VLAN that would be used by the operating system to send its traffic. So this would be VLAN 2. Now I'm just going to send untagged traffic, so I untick that. For the virtual machines, you configure against the virtual machines, the VLANs. That's it for the basic setup. Before I started, I've downloaded the ClearPass folder for Hyper-V, and I have extracted that. Open up Server Manager and we'll go Tools. I need the Hyper-V Manager. And what we're going to do is we are going to import the virtual machine. So in here we browse that folder that I just showed you. So I've got that in download. So select that folder. Okay, good. Hit next. Yep, that's the one we're going to import. Good. And here, choose the type of import to perform. So that is copy the virtual machine. I'm not going to change the location. We just go with the defaults for the locations here. Okay, so here in the virtual machine, you have some virtual switches defaults in there. The switch management, I'll just set that to Ethernet and hit next. Same again for the other port. That looks good. Now that copy has finished, we can see the virtual machine there is the ClearPass VA. If we go to settings, because the import is pretty heavy. It's quite a bad boy actually. So the memory is taking up quite a bit. The processors, so it's got 8 processors, virtual processors in there. So what I'm going for, I'm just going for the lab version, so the eval lab version. I don't need all of that grunt. So what I'm going to do is drop that down. So it's 6 meg for the memory. Go, and virtual processors is just 2. So let's apply that. So it comes in as quite a heavy bad boy. The next step is to add the 80 gig hard drive. SCSI controller, add a hard drive. New, next, default was fine. Dynamically expanding is fine. ClearPass disk 2, next. Now do check the release notes because for the different appliances that you want, you've got different demands. I'm going for the lab version, the eval version, so it's an 80. So the way to remember it is 2 CPUs, 6 meg RAM and 80. Next, finish. So that's the extra hard drive on there. We will apply that. Checking those NICs. So those are the two NICs. This is the management and that is the data. My ClearPass and other servers that I'm going to use in this small setup, I'm going to put them on VLAN 5. So I hit VLAN ID, enable, yep, and just put in 5 there. That's fine. Okay, I think that's ready to go actually, so we can turn that on. I'll tell you what I'll do. I will change the name. I'm going to call this ClearPass 5. Start that up. So now we've got this option, VM appliance type. So this is where I'm going to go for that C Lab V. So it's 1. Hit yes for that and off it goes. App admin, e-tips, 1, 2, 3, e-tip. So tips is in capitals. Enter host name. So I'm going to call it ClearPass 5. IP address is going to be 5. And I will set this as .10. Boring /24 subnet. And the gateway is the top of that subnet. 254. Primary DNS, I've already got this in my lab. Secondary, new password, enter that, confirm it. Yep, I'm going to do the time. Okay, NTP server, configure the time zone. Yes, I am in Europe, so that's 8, and I am in Britain, UK, so that's 7. Lucky number 7. That looks correct to me. Go for it. I'm not going to enable FIPS mode. That all looks good. So I hit yes. Okay, the stop and restart actions have completed and I've got this login screen again. So I should be able to log in 5.10. Hit policy manager and it's going to go to the license screen. Enter that, I'll skip ahead. Okay, a license added, terms and conditions accepted, all those good things. My buddy Herman told me first thing that you always have to do is update. So what we need to do is enter your HPE passport credentials. Okay, great. So that was successful. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the vital first step of updating the firmware and patches. Let's create a new virtual machine, Win DC1. Gen 2, because it's Windows Server 2019, you can have Gen 2. Okay, going to connect it to Ethernet. Okay, install from a bootable image file. This one. Okay, because that gives us the desktop. Okay, check the settings there. I am going to bump up the processors. Here on the network adapter, the per VM VLAN, and I want that to be VLAN 5. I think we're good. Let's boot. And so here are the options. I'm going to go for standard desktop experience. So I'm going custom install, standard stuff. I am going to set the IP address. Because this is going to be the domain controller with DNS on it and DHCP and the CA is, of course, as well. I want a static IP address on there. And this one is, so that's .1 actually, 24-bit mask. Okay, 254 is the gateway. Just close this down. If we do rename computer as a string, I'll call it win-dc-1 into that. And that's done it. If I do a restart, so if I go restart computer. Okay, so I think we are ready to go for add roles and features. Yeah, skip this by default. Role based, yes. Local, yes. And I'm going to go for this Active Directory domain services first. Add that feature in. I also want DHCP. So let's go for promote this server to a domain controller. And so it's a new forest. I'm going to call it redsquad.home. Putting a password. Next. A nice part about this, actually, if you go through this for the first time and then you want to repeat it, you can just hit this and Windows makes you a script kiddie. The domain controller is complete, and you can see over here ADDS. What I need to do now is the DHCP configuration. Commit that using the defaults. Fine. We should have DHCP. So I want to set that up. I'll do that now. I'll set up a new scope. Red 5 100 115. Yep, defaults. Now, okay, default gateway, top of the subnet. The DNS server is already in there. Wins, skip that. Activate now, yes please. I'm going to set up some new entities for testing then. So if we go to Administrative Center, we'll go for a new organizational unit here by right clicking. New org unit, red test. And in there, I'm going to create a new group. Group name, call them X-Wing. Go in there, that's our group. I want a new user. So this is going to be the user that I use rather than just using the administrator all the time. So we will call this user Wedge, okay. Password, okay that. To group, add Wedge to X, check names. Yeah, okay, and then the X1 group I will add, let's go member of, and I will add domain admins. Go to adding in a new feature. So we've still got to do the CA. So roles and features, yeah. Okay, next. And so it's the ADCS, Certificate Services. Let's turn that on. Next. And I want the web enrollment as well, which will turn on the web server. Right, yellow triangles. Let's see. Configure the certificate services. So this is where we set up the CA. Good, right, let's go ahead. We're setting up an enterprise CA, and this is a root CA. Go ahead. So what we're doing, create the new private key. Fine, I'm just going to stick with the defaults for all of this. Okay, defaults, yes, fine. Hit that configure button. Green ticks, I like it. So now we can open up, there you go, CA. So that's set up, ready to go. There we go. Okay, so policy manager, server manager, licensing. I need to add the licenses in. So I've done the license, done the update. I should be able to join the AD domain. Okay, so we hit this button. Domain controller is windc1.redsquad.home. NetBIOS name is found, normally a good sign. Admin password. Okay, I'm getting green, so that looks good. There we go, close. Next up, I want to configure my authentication source. Oh, it's a configuration. Authentication, to expand that to sources. Add. This is WinDC1. It is Active Directory. Next, hostname -1 Red Squad home. Bind administrator. Password. You can hit this to browse. Okay, so we can see the domain there. Now we've got that in as an authentication source. This probably doesn't follow the workflow that well, but I've got it down in my notes to do, which is to add in the network device. This is going to be, we'll just call it AP1 100. Put in the shared secret. This is the more interesting part where we integrate ClearPass and the authentication server. So there's two things that we need to do. First of all, on ClearPass, what I am going to do is I'm going to get the signing request. Go to certificates, certificate store, and this is just a self-signed certificate. We're going to create the certificate signing request, which needs to be signed by the root CA. Put in the private key password. Okay, copy, download the signing request, save file. Now we need to jump over to the CA, so that's the web interface, CERTSRV, I believe. We need to download a CA certificate, and it's got to be base 64, I believe. So let's download the CA certificate there, save that file. I need to go back then and do the signing request. Request a certificate using advanced. Here we go. And I did copy it so that I could paste it directly in there rather than having to use the file. That's web server, submit. So it's got to be a base 64, and then we download the certificate. I'm just going to save the file. So we've got the two certificates. One of them goes into the trust list. We need to add a new one. So this is it's our private CA, the top of our trust chain, the root. So I'm going to add and browse to that. It tells me that's a root certificate, and that's the standard. Okay, so root certificate. There we are, there it is. So that's my root certificate installed. What I also need to do is go to the certificate store, the certificate that we got signed by the root CA, and we need to import the certificate that we got signed by the root CA after our certificate signing request. Let's import. There we have it. So you can see the details there. So we've got the root CA certificate, and then our local signed certificate for ClearPass 5, part of Red Squad, which was issued by the WinDC CA. Now let's set up a service, and essentially I'm just copying the one from Herman's videos here. Right, so Aruba 802.1x wireless. Okay, fine. Next, the authentication methods. We'll start with PEAP, then we'll move over to TLS. So we don't have to do, hopefully we don't have to do manually moving certificates around. So I'll remove that. Authentication source, because I've already added that in, appears there. If you haven't, you can add it in here. Good. Next. Roles is just basic. Enforcement's basic. Good, I believe. So we will save that. Let's jump over to the AP now. So here's my AP. I've already logged in actually. So this is the new GUI. I'll show you the, here's the dashboard. Security, so this is where I need to put the authentication server in. Security, yep, authentication server. So let's add that in there. It's going to be radius, ClearPass, IP address 10, shared secret. Okay, that. The save button's right down here. Configuration of networks. Add a network in. Swamp Thing 1. Don't ask me why. Security level. Enterprise. WPA 2. And let's move over to ClearPass 5. That looks good. Okay, next. Access. It's just open. Dashboard. Networks. There we are. Okay, so Swamp Thing 1. Good. And we're going on to our server here. Go into the certificates. Here's the certificate authority. The certificate templates. The deal is that we can use that to issue our own custom templates. Manage. computer template, and here we right click and duplicate. General, this is where you change the name of X-Wing template. And then if we look at the security, you should see domain computers there. We've got enrolled. I'm going to hit auto enroll so I don't have to be on the client and then ask for the certificate. It should just get pushed out, which is much more scalable and allows me to be more lazy. Okay, so that's our computer. Also for user, so I'll highlight user there, and we will duplicate the template, pilot template, apply that. This is where we need to check we've got the right permissions. Wedge is domain admin. What I'm going to do is I will hit auto enroll for domain admins. Let's jump over users and computers. Red test, wedge, properties, put in the email address like that. So putting in the email address, because some of the user certificate templates, there was some warnings that I saw online about that hitting a problem if you didn't have the email set up for the user. Okay, we'll close that down. We've got auto enroll for domain admins. Good. Now what we need to do is actually issue those templates. If we certificate template to issue, what do we have? We have X-Wing. Let's issue that. And the other one is new certificate to issue was PPP pilot. There we are. What we also need to do is go over to the group policy. That is group policy management. There we are. What I will do, I will create a new group policy, create a GPO in this domain and link it here. Yes, good. X-Wing certs. That will do. Okay, that. Make this a bit bigger. Don't show that message again. We edit this, what we see, so I've created the GPO under my domain, which is the highest level in the domain to issue it so that it will filter down to everything within the domain. Computer configuration, and the one that we're looking for is the Windows setting. So expand that. So I've gone computer configuration, policies, Windows settings, and there we go, security settings. In security settings, you find your public key policies, and within that we have this, our auto enrollment settings. So we open that up, enable that, and then we have this renew expired certificates, update pending, remove revoked, and update certificates that use certificate templates. So we enable and then we tick those two boxes. That was just for computer, so we need to do the same thing for the users. Windows, security, public key policies, auto enrollment, properties, enabled, tick the two boxes. Good stuff, excellent. Thank you very much for coming. Close that down. Open up PowerShell, we go GP update. Force that GPO out. Computer policy update has completed successfully and user policy has updated successfully. So we will see if we have good certificates, they will be issued here. The template is listed as well. Certificate template will be listed there. Here we are. Yeah, I've just pimped up the desktop a bit. Windows settings, network, Wi-Fi, and manage known networks. And in here, you can add a network at the top. So this is where we add the network. So we can something one. So you can add in the security type. WPA2 enterprise. Yep. The EAP message to start with is going to be PEAP, and then we're going to use MS Chat 2 just to join us to the network. Connect automatically. Good. Save. Look at this. There it is. Connect. I need to sign in using a user that can actually join the network. So you can see it there that we've had success. PEAP, MS Chat 2, log in. Good. And I need to join the domain. Good, because now we're on the wireless. We've got connectivity directly to the domain controller. So we can go to system info, and we will see we're in the work group, so we need to change that. Okay, domain red squad.home. Okay, that, and we are going to use wedge again. Cool. Welcome to redsquad.home domain, and we need to reboot. There we are. So we're logged in, as you can see, logged into Swamp Thing. What we do then, right click, run. We want this MMC. Go yes for that. So we need to add these snap-ins certificates. Add that in. User account we'll add in, and we want to add in the computer account. I'm trying to do that for both. So it's local, yes. Okay, that. So local computer, open that up. So if we go personal and we go to certificates, we can see actually, so remember the computer template, which I called X-Wing. There we are. That's our certificate for server authentication that's been issued to this computer. We've also got over here, because we've got the computer ones and we've got the users. So if we go user personal, that hasn't been issued just yet. Let's see if we can enroll that. So there is a way of doing this. All tasks, automatically enroll and retrieve certificates. There we go. So right click before you begin. Okay, fine. Next. Hopefully it will show us the template. Pilot template, there we go. It's saying it's available, so let's try to enroll. Yeah, it's saying succeeded. Okay, so that's good. And now we've got our pilot template. Okay, so that wasn't great because it was manual intervention, but it did allow me to just grab it down for the user. Last time I tried this, when I was doing a prep run, after a while the CA did issue out the certificate. So let's contrast that on the other side then. This is the CA then, so where you can see the certificates, and we can see the issued certificate. We have the X-Wing template is issued, and we have wedges has been issued there. Let's go back to the device. Forget that network. So I want to add in, we'll do it this way, because I think this way gives you more options. So it's Swamp Thing 1, Enterprise, start that, yes. Change the settings, okay, good. And this is going to be smart card, so EAP-TLS, and you can change the settings there. My trusted root is Red Squad. Don't prompt users to authorize new servers. No, good. Okay, that. So we're connected to Swamp Thing 1 again. Let's go and check the ClearPass. Right, so that's just now, we've got an accept there. We open that up. Okay, so accept, and it's EAP-TLS. The computer is using the certificate to log in. Okay, so that's it. Quick and dirty, as I said it was going to be. But if you think what I've done there, I've built up the Hyper-V server, then the domain controller and the CA, ClearPass, and I've integrated ClearPass into the domain, set up the device for my AP, set up my authentication server on ClearPass. Then I have created the service on ClearPass, created the user on the AD, created the certificate templates, the new GPO for issuing that, all of these good things. Then I have joined my laptop to the instant SSID using PEAP, so that then the laptop has connectivity to the domain controller, so it can then join the domain using domain credentials, so using wedge of Red Squad, reload the laptop, join joined the SSID again, so now we're on the domain. The auto-enrollment downloaded the computer certificate. Admittedly, the user certificate wasn't ready to go, but I used the auto-enrollment process for the MMC and the Snap-In, which grabbed the certificate down for the user. Then I could change my SSID property. So actually I just forgot the network, put it back in again so that it could just use the certificate for my login. Then when I check for my login status, it's EAP-TLS that's being used. So my certificates are being used. So that is job done. Okay, thanks very much for watching. Please do like, comment, subscribe, all of those great things. But that's it for now. My name is Joe Neville. Thanks for watching and goodbye.